Well, if you thought we were on the fast track to a digital gulag and social credit system, then grab your tinfoil hat and pat yourself on the back because you thought correct. The UN has officially announced plans to roll out digital IDs worldwide by the year, you guessed it, 2030. And guess what? They will be mandatory for anyone who wishes to participate in society. The UN has officially just launched its 50 in 5 initiative this week on November 8th. Now, what exactly is 50 in 5 and what does it set out to do? Well, buckle up and let me tell you. 50 in 5 establishes a common framework for a unified DPI amongst all the nations of the world. Now, you may be asking, what is unified DPI? DPI stands for Digital Public Infrastructure, which by definition of the new 50 in 5 initiative is a secure network of components that includes a digital ID, digital payments like CBDC, and data exchange systems. Now you may be thinking, this sounds awfully familiar. We've heard all this before, right? And you would be correct. Remember, UN Agenda 30 Sustainable Development Goal, or SDG 16.9, is all about digital ID, and the UN Secretary General has mandated that it be developed in collaboration with the World Bank. Oh, but wait up, it doesn't end there. We also must remember our friendly globalists over at the World Economic Forum, who in February of 2022 released a report entitled Advancing Towards Digital Agency. Don't believe me? Just head over to their own website, where they quite literally show you everything a digital ID will grant one permission to partake in. With a digital ID, you'll be able to shop, send and receive payments, access health services, government services, social media, and more. But without it, you won't be able to do anything. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, in the same document on the following page, it says that in the future, a digital ID will be embedded in the body. Now, before I bring on my next guest, who is an expert on this topic, I want to play a video from the Co-Develop Fund, which is one of the main funders of the new 50 in 5 initiative. Check it out.
The world is a couple of years into a terrible pandemic, which has led to tremendous loss of life and livelihoods. As the pandemic raged, some countries were able to provide rapid, secure support to their citizens using digital public infrastructure. These systems can also be used to power solutions that advance the Sustainable Development Goals and improve the everyday lives of individuals. Many countries that didn't have these capabilities are now keen to adopt digital public infrastructure. Over the past 3 years, 50 countries reached out to the World Bank and other institutions for support to build these systems for their citizens. At Co-Develop, our mission is to work with countries as they develop inclusive, safe and equitable digital public infrastructure. The good news is that we don't have to start from scratch. Hundreds of millions of public funds invested in digital public infrastructure over the last decade have led to successful population-scale deployments in several countries. With coordinated support, these building blocks can be leveraged to achieve similar success around the world. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Catalytic funding could unlock billions from traditional aid institutions and help build digital public infrastructure that creates trillions in value for citizens globally. We welcome the opportunity to partner with you along our journey. Let's co-develop.
And with that, we welcome Alex Newman back to the program, CEO of Liberty Sentinel Media. Alex, thanks so much for being back with us. I know we've touched on this many times before, but it's incredible to see it rapidly developing here. Can you remind us all, Alex, why this whole push is so dangerous for our freedom and individual liberty?
Well, thank you, Alison. It's great to be here. And I think one of the key things people need to understand is this actually means the end of all privacy. Once everything is digital, everything then is surveilled, everything is monitored. Once you combine that with AI technology and allow all this data to be mined, analyzed, tracked, shared, what you're dealing with here is a digital panopticon. A panopticon was this kind of idea for a prison where every single prisoner could be visible at every moment of the day, no matter what they were doing, right from the middle of the structure. That's what we're dealing with here, except on a global level. And then you mentioned the World Economic Forum. When you combine this with the ravings of people like Klaus Schwab, who thinks of himself, at least, as a pioneer in what he calls the fourth industrial revolution. He did a whole book on this. I encourage people to read it because he explains that eventually all these digital technologies are going to be embedded under our skin. Some of them will even be embedded into our brains. And he says this clearly in his book. He says it clearly in public interviews. He says eventually we're going to see a fusion of our digital and our biological identities. So that's where all this is headed toward. It means the end of privacy, the end of freedom, and a totalitarian global system that will be essentially inescapable. That's really the end goal here, Alison.
Yeah, it is, and it should alarm everyone, as we often discuss, but it seems like not enough people are really aware that this is our inevitable future if we don't stop it. Alex, is it surprising to you that the same cast of characters like the UN, like the World Economic Forum, the Rockefeller Foundation, and Bill Gates even are involved with this new 50 and 5 initiative?
It doesn't surprise me at all, Alison. Actually, I've been writing articles on this for over a decade. The ID 2020, co-sponsored by Microsoft and the Rockefeller Foundation, launched a decade ago to promote this concept of digital IDs. In 2012, over a decade ago, was born the Better Than Cash Alliance. This was a project of multiple UN agencies, Bill and Melinda Gates, the Rockefellers, the credit card companies. So over a decade ago, they were talking about the alleged desirability of moving away from cash and toward digital payments. And when you combine that with Agenda 2030, which the UN at the time was openly calling the master plan for humanity, saying that no one can be left behind, everyone's going to have to participate in this system. It was very clear 10 years ago what they were doing. The problem is, Alison, as you pointed out, people have not been paying attention. They hear a little piece about digital ID over here. They hear a piece about central bank digital currencies over there. They don't realize that all of this is part of one unified, to borrow one of their words, superstructure that they're trying to impose on every person on this planet. So we need to be paying attention. We need to be actively resisting this if we hope to preserve freedom, privacy, etc. for future generations. And we need to be doing it like yesterday.
We most certainly do. You know, I also can't help but think of how the WHO also wants to establish the vaccine passport, as we know. And according to the World Economic Forum, the framework for such would be this digital ID. And according to newly agreed to amendments to the 2005 International Health Regulations Treaty, a vaccine passport would be established. Now, obviously, numerous global level governmental organizations are all on the same sheet of music here, helping to establish the seemingly universal key necessary for everything they have planned. And that, of course, is the digital ID. But Alex, to touch on what you just mentioned, how are more people not seeing and understanding what's happening here? And how can anyone not see the parallels also to what's mentioned in Revelation chapter 13?
Yeah, Revelation chapter 13 is something everybody needs to go reread right now. Right, when this was written 2,000 years ago, the idea that some global system would be able to stop every person on the planet from buying or selling if they wouldn't take some mark, if they wouldn't participate in some system, must have sounded absolutely crazy, Alison. I mean, there was no global government at the time. There were people scattered all across the face of the earth, people living in the jungles that nobody had ever seen before. The idea of a global system stopping everybody would have just been simply inconceivable. And yet today, we're actually watching the architecture of this abomination being rolled out before our eyes. And I think the reason people haven't caught on, Alison, there's several, right? We are now several generations into a dumbing down and indoctrination campaign taking place in the public schools. We now have a just ubiquitous false narrative coming out of the fake media, coming out of the mainstream media, where nothing is put into context, nothing of any substance is going to be revealed to the people consuming this media. And then you combine that with all the distractions, right? They're trying to divide Americans. They want you divided on what football team you support. They want you divided on what color your skin is, on whether you're a man or a woman or a bi-gender. So all of these things contribute, I think, to the massive blind spot that is allowing all of this to happen. Now, again, is the time, folks, for people to be paying attention and getting involved.
Amen. Absolutely. I mean, with all the wars and rumors of wars happening all around the globe, this included, combined with just the endless mind-numbing social media distractions and all the rest, it's far past time we pull our head out of the sand and wake up. Alex, quickly before we're out of time, what can or should we be doing during this time, and what should our so-called leaders be doing to counteract this?
Well, there's a lot that can and should be done. At the individual level, you want to use cash as much as possible. Stop using their digital payments and all the rest of it. At the local, the community level, you want to start creating networks. Get farmers and plumbers and people who provide different services together. Find ways to collaborate together outside of the system as much as possible. At the state level, work on passing state laws banning these things. I've worked with legislators all across the country now on legislation to stop CBDCs. 1 state, 2 states, 3 states won't be able to do it. 28, 29, 30 states might be able to put a dent in this agenda. Call your member of Congress right now. All these appropriations bills are moving through the process. Call your member of Congress. Tell them not one more penny for this United Nations and for this agenda from hell that they're trying to impose on us. Those are things that everybody can do right now as soon as they're done watching this program, Alison.
I love it. You guys heard it. I hope you're listening. Take action and don't wait. We don't have much time to spare. Alex Newman, great advice. Thank you so much for joining us and weighing in today.
Thank you, Alison.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.